Captain Jake Morrison shoved his boots through the dense dust clouds that engulfed the defunct research facility. Made gentle thump sounds on the metal floor as he moved farther into the air's darkness. Decades-old recycling system, and each breath tasted like. "Captain, you need to see this," said Dr. Lisa Carter, referring to rust and outdated electronics. Her voice reverberated oddly in the deserted hallways from somewhere ahead. For more than 200 years, the Luna 7 research station had been closed and designated as a official records of a failed mining operation, but Morrison's team had discovered. When they opened the security doors, something was different. Morrison heard her voice and followed it. The facility was significantly bigger than it looked from the exterior corridor after the flashlight cut through the darkness. A dark hallway was lined with machinery that appeared much too sophisticated for a basic mining station. Along the walls were computer terminals with dark, cracked screens that displayed odd symbols. "Over here," Captain Lisa called, covering the majority of the machinery symbols that appeared nearly human but not quite. Once more, she found herself facing a huge blast door that was sealed with. The door had several locks and was composed of a metal material that appeared to absorb. Pete Sullivan, their chief engineer for flashlight beams, was already working on his tool's locking mechanism sparking against the odd substance. "What do?" Communications Officer Danny Wright asked. "You think they were hiding down here," while holding his scanner near the door, but the device continued to display impossible energy, and the readings were illogical. "I don't know," Morrison said, but signatures as though something strong was still operating behind the sealed barrier. For a very long time, someone wanted it to remain a secret, whatever it is. Pete. When the locks were eventually unlocked, the blast door groaned loudly as it slid aside to reveal a room that astounded Morrison. The room was massive, easily the size of a football field, but what really startled him was what was sitting in the middle of the room was a spaceship that Morrison had never seen before, supported by enormous struts. The ship appeared sleek and dark, with a hull that seemed to bend light around it. Had been developed instead of constructed, with its surface flowing in gentle curves that every inch of the hull was glowing with strange symbols that were painful to look at directly. Holy Mother of ... Pete began to dimly illuminate themselves with their own inner light. Say then halted his engineering scanner, which was flashing and beeping wildly. "Captain, the warning lights are still operational after all these years." Lisa, still running, approached the ship while holding her Zenora gear. She had studied alien artifacts for years, but this time was different. Was human technology, but the power was far greater than anything currently in use. "Readings are extremely high," she stated. "This ship produces more energy than our whole fleet combined." Morrison circled the ship, attempting to make sense of what he was seeing. Was about the size of a heavy cruiser, but its style was entirely different from human shipbuilding techniques. There were no engine ports, no weapons in plain sight. Airlocks. The hull appeared to be composed of a single, reflecting piece of material. "Look at this," Danny called from close to the front of their lights in unimaginable ways. He discovered a control panel integrated into the floor of the ship, close to what seemed to be. Those same odd symbols covered a panel that appeared to be the bow of the ship, but some of them looked familiar. Markings that are human-written but extremely ancient, as in pre-space travel. At the control panel, where his scanner revealed a huge computer, Pete joined Danny. Subterranean systems that employ technology decades ahead of what is currently available. He claimed that this is not feasible because the processing power alone would need. Lisa discovered another panel close to the back of the ship, but we don't have any technology. The odd symbols she brushed on this one were interspersed with legible English text. Clearing the dust and reading out loud, authorization of Project Nemesis prototype vessel. Only the date stamp caused her to gasp. Staff. "Captain, this ship was constructed over 200 years ago." Immediately following his initial encounter with the Zephyrians, Morrison experienced the Zephyrian Empire had been humanity's first point of contact, sending a shiver down his spine. With extraterrestrial life and it hadn't worked out. The Empire dominated the majority of the known galaxy, and they had explicitly stated that people were not welcome among the stars. Humanity had been confined to their tiny patch of space for 2 centuries. Zephyrian expansion is a constant threat, but it isn't feasible, Pete. We hardly had fusion drives 20,200 years ago, but this ship uses technology. Dai's communication device abruptly came to life, something that shouldn't have happened. Despite being thousands of miles away from Earth Command, Admiral Kate Hoffman's voice was audible. "We have a situation, so please report your status right away, Morrison." Morrison turned on his communicator. "Admiral. We are currently conducting an investigation into the Luna 7 facility. Discovered something you must know, but you will have to wait because Captain Zephyrian has given you an ultimatum. Within 30 days, they want all human colonies to surrender, or they will launch a full-scale assault. According to our intelligence, they are already putting their fleets in position to." Team members stared at one another in disbelief, knowing that the Zephyrians had been becoming more combative in recent years and humanity's minor defensive. Admiral Morrison stated that their enormous armada would be too strong for their fleet. "We found a prototype warship constructed during the early contact period that could potentially change everything." There was a lengthy pause because the technology is far superior to what we currently have. "Captain," before Admiral Hoffman replied, "I need you to make sure that facility is secure. If what you're saying is accurate, that ship might be the only one left for humanity. Hopefully, the Zephyrian fleet will be bigger than anything they have ever put together. According to our most recent intelligence, more than 2,000 vessels, including their most recent bio." While Morrison talked with ship's Lisa, she had kept examining the control panels. The Admiral discovered more legible writing concealed beneath dust and "I think this ship was specifically," the corrosion captain said quietly. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a tactical display made to combat the Zephyrians. That had somehow come on, and when she touched the panel, the screen displayed intricate Zephyrian biohip schematics. The information was extremely detailed and included what seemed to be weakness analysis and targeting data. How could they have learned so much about Zephyrian ships and more than human intelligence had ever collected in a century? Previously, Danny inquired that Pete was examining the ship's engine compartment using an. When he said slowly, "I don't think they built this to fight the Zephyrians," he was referring to the access panel.